Hi, this is Brooks with Character Design Forge. Today I want to talk about why you should play to your strengths. Now, if this seems like something where you know where this is going or you think you know what I'm going to say, at least hear me out. Now, why should you play to your strengths? Well, it's not just a game of resource management, but it's about getting the most out of your creative work. And that's not just you getting the most out of it, but the people who are observing it, your audience, seeing the best thing you can make as well. So what are strengths, at least the way that we're talking about them today? Well, a strength is something that you're both good at and passionate about. And what I'm talking about is within art or creating art. So say that you are creating a comic, but you'd much rather be making animation or making a children's book. Well, that comic is not something that you're as passionate about making as you could be about something else. Or from a technical standpoint, or perhaps the reverse situation, you really want to be creating music, but your singing voice isn't that good, or you don't have any vocal training. So instead, you turn to songwriting or composing, or picking up an instrument. Now, for me, I get some comments from you guys saying things like I have a calming voice, or things about my presentation or speaking skills, and I appreciate that, but that doesn't mean that for me, just because it's something I might be good at, I'm going to turn to making a daily vlog or something like that. Like as narcissistic as this situation seems, I only really want to talk about myself if it's going to be a teaching moment or something that can help you. I'd much rather allow my work to speak for myself. Now, in order to play to your strengths, you need to do three things. The first thing is to acknowledge your weaknesses and work on them. Now, because we're talking about strengths, we could easily use the principle of not skipping leg day here. The reason being that you can become unbalanced if you're simply ignoring your weaknesses. And we all know that someone could have large or massive arms, but tiny legs if they're skipping leg day, and how diminishing and distracting that can be from their overall strength. Now, I know that for a majority of you, and this includes myself, your weaknesses do include drawing fundamentals. So you need to acknowledge those and work toward them, and this will only serve your strengths better in the long run. The second thing that you need to do is figure out if you're working within any artificial constraints. And yeah, that might sound confusing. So in plain terms, figure out what it is that's stopping you, and then figure out if that's actually stopping you. So there's this well-known idea that constraints actually contribute to creativity. So instead of having unlimited resources in front of you, unlimited possibilities, you can actually problem solve with what little you have and create something unique. But on the flip side of this, say that you really love animation, but you say, well, I don't know how to animate, it takes too much time, so I'm just going to stick to comics instead. Now remember that a strength is both something that you're good at and passionate about. So this isn't really a strength if making comics is keeping you from what you'd much rather be doing. So with a dash of humility, why not take the time to learn and not give in to the fear that you won't be good enough or that it will take a while? The third thing is to double down on your strengths. And this takes a while. This means going through the act of actually doing the thing that you like and figuring out if you like doing it, not just the idea of doing it. So maybe you can think about all of your influences, all of the things that you really like, maybe the things that people have complimented you on. Remember that this is something that you are good at, and think about what you could boil those things down to that you could create that would be really your own thing. The thing is that this isn't a competition. It's not about who the best artist is. It's not about imitating someone else the best. It's about your own voice and making what really is unique to you. When you think about the limited amount of time that you have, and then think a little bit more long term, what is the finished product that you want? Is it a printed book? Is it a published game? Is it a figure that you can hold in your hand? Work toward that thing. And by the way, these are like advanced steps. These are for after you have some experience and a really firm grasp on your creative work or your career in general. The thing is that time is a limited resource. It's finite. So if you're pouring your all into something, you should be getting something in return, either money because it's paid work, or the gratification that it's really the thing that you wanted to be making. Now, something that's stuck in my mind recently and has kind of been the catalyst for all of this is the fact that it took Lin-Manuel Miranda 7 years to create the show Hamilton. Now, whether you're a fan of it or not, it's truly amazing. And it's not just a part of the zeitgeist, it's a piece of art, and it's like a work of genius on par with Shakespeare. You heard it here first. You didn't hear it here first. It's been said a lot of times. On the other end of the spectrum is this cycle that a lot of us on the internet are in of creating something or releasing something either daily or weekly. And this is not a video attacking that idea, nor is it me announcing that I'm jumping off of that treadmill. But this 7 years makes me think that maybe there's sort of a hidden trap to this cycle of release if we aren't careful. Now, part of the reason for these frequent updates is truthfully marketing. It's reminding people that we're here, and it's gaining the interest of new people. And I think about my recent 100 Days, 100 Characters series, and how really that wasn't building toward anything necessarily. It was really to show myself that I could do it. It was a personal challenge, and it was ultimately about self-improvement. And that's all well and good, but I think the best thing that you can be doing is building towards something and using those updates to show work in progress or sneak peeks towards something larger. Alternatively, you can just use a fraction of your total time to create this new installment and use the rest of your time to build towards something. Otherwise, I think if you're using all of your free time that you have for work to put out something for free, just as another installment, I think ultimately the feeling is going to be that this work was fleeting. All of this may take some time to digest, so don't be afraid to take a break and step back from what you're doing and really think about things. I recently did this. I finished up that 100 Days series. I made that Smash Brothers print, and then I took a step back and really thought about what I really want to be making. So for me, for example, some strengths and things that I really like, some you may already know, some you may not. The first is that I'm actually a 3D modeler. I have professional work experience as a 3D modeler. Two, obviously I love characters, but I especially love ensemble characters and characters in groups. I like them a lot more than the sum of their parts, and I like it when characters are kind of all mashed up together. Three, I really like telling stories and building worlds around characters. Four, there's a certain aesthetic and type of character that I like to make, and it's a little bit, I don't know, maybe useless to describe, but it's this sort of cartoony, delightful, cosmic, ethereal, fantastic, simple, woodsy, but also a little bit of tech. Like that's a word salad for you. But that sort of is the style of character that I want to be making. Now, the fifth thing is that I really like games. I like playing games, but I like talking about them and studying them. The work that I make really celebrates them and alludes to them. And so I started thinking, why not stop beating around the bush and actually just make? I may have said too much. We'll leave that for next time or another time for now. That's it for me today. I'm making new videos every week at Character Design Forge. Subscribing on YouTube lets you know when new videos are made available. If you didn't see my print, the Nintendo 64 just had its 20th anniversary, so I made this Smash Brothers print. I'll show on screen right there. You can get that by clicking the link in the description or heading over to brookseggelston.com/shop. Now, if you didn't see that I was making that or that was available, why not follow me on Twitter or Instagram at BagelDenizen. I would love to see you think about this idea of playing to your strengths, figure out what your strengths are and what that would mean for what you want to create. It'd be really cool to see what you guys think. Maybe leave a comment underneath. Thank you for watching and have fun creating.